everything before.
I have heard everything before.
And I've really tried to come up with original material to surprise you, and it never works.
I think you could. But listen, 2020, you're sitting at home, you're doing nothing. You think, I'm going to mix up some songs because that's what I do. In fact, it's in my name. I'm Sir Mixalot. So I think I'm going to mix up a song that was reasonably popular in a Netflix thing with Will Farrell. That's what you do. And then if you're not sure what to do, then you find out what's going on in the whole other Boston. What a day we're going to have today. Who do we have?
We have Sir Mix-a-Lot, and most people know him as a musician, but of course he's a businessman as well and a collector of very fine motor vehicles. So I'm excited. I know nobody else will want to hear about that, but I do. So I'm excited about that. And we have Genevieve Bien-Aime. I hope I'm saying that correctly. She's the founder of The Other Boston. So really awesome website and newsletter for the Black community in Boston. And she's got a really cool t-shirt line that we're going to talk about. So I'm really excited about today.
We've got a bunch of stuff going on. So, Eddie's here already. We've got John Harrison. So
hi.
Feels like time to make a backpack show. I cut myself off.
More to a musician than just music, and he is so right. Coach Woodard is here. Welcome to the Backpack Show, Coach.
We try to do a little bit of research to be like grown-ups. It's very much against my nature to do a whole lot of research. But, when you start looking at stuff, when you start seeing what people are into, you can really, it just goes deeper and deeper. So I think that's one of the reasons we do the show. The show's here to bring what, Carrie?
To bring insights from unusual places so that you have what you need to succeed in the next 5 years.
You say that so much better than I do, and I have not.
It's your book, gonna be.
I can't remember, buzzwords and catchwords and things like that. So
I listened to you say it like 16 times, and then I got it.
And then you do it now. I don't remember how to say it. That's
no, you don't need to, because I'm here.
I'm such a wizard. All right, listen. I think we should really waste no time and
I agree.
Drag on our man, Mr. Anthony Ray, sometimes also known as Sir Mixalot. No, not Mr. Mixalot. Sir Mixalot. How you doing?
You're here. How you doing?
Alive
I got
and
much
well.
back. That was never my problem. The little in the middle has been, on and off. Got much back.
I don't believe you have much back until I see it.
Consistent. Okay, well,
maybe later. A LinkedIn user who didn't share their content, with us, just basically says LinkedIn user big butts. I'm just. I like to think about the fact that on the business website, LinkedIn, someone just typed big butts and associated with it.
Well, it's like a skill.
That owns a business selling big draws.
That could be.
Yeah.
Oh, another. So Raphael's here, known Mix a long time. Eddie's here. Amber.
Amber, that's my homegirl. What's up, Amber?
Yeah.
There you go.
Checking in from Seattle.
Amber looks like Wonder Woman.
She says I have back.
She looks like Wonder Woman. Seriously. Like Wonder Woman. Yeah, to a T.
Yep.
She does. She's pretty much got her her Halloween costume settled for a while.
Tall and fine.
Mm-hmm.
She's a tall drink of water. I got her that T-shirt for her birthday.
Won't even give me a handshake, but okay.
Well, what do you try here? Yeah. So to start off, I want to start with what drew me to connect with you. And I don't know, I'm a little freaked out about copy strike and all that. So I'm going to put just a tiny little, just a tidbit of your song you put together.
John endorsed me for big butts. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm pushing a button here.
Okay. Are you going to tell us which one?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to bring it in.
All right.
Hi, Leslie.
Doing it live. Ready?
So ready. I bet this is not what people were expecting.
Bring a little wine. Yep. Can a brother step to you like this? Yep. Get a little kiss. Yep. Daddy wanna look at them things. Yep. Play with them bangs. Yep. Baby wanna ride my coupe. Yep. Got a lot of loot. Yep. Hot bag you working. Yep. That one of them Birkins. Yep. I got Lamborghini. Yep. Baby, can you see me? Yep. You feeling what a brother might bring? Yep.
So I don't know. That's who knows if the YouTube robots will come and kill me.
No, you played the right part. That part I own, and I didn't put a kill switch out, so you're all right.
Well, sweet biscuits, I might live.
Don't fuck with Tony.
Lucky.
Tony will ban your shit quick.
They will take me. So your this whole thing, the whole idea of doing Yeah Yeah Ding Dong. This is from the Will Farrell, Rachel McAdam movie Eurovision, I think it's called, and it's a comedy. And basically, the premise is that they're just not a good band, and the country of Iceland decides we'll put these guys up because we don't want them to win. And I wonder what's going to happen. So you're watching this thing, I'm guessing, and you said, you know what would be kind of an interesting song to make a mix over? That one.
Yeah.
So what the heck?
And everybody dogged me when I said, what the, I don't want to be cussing all day, but what the hell are you doing that song for, dude? I'm like, that's the point. That's the point. The fact that you question what the F I'm doing this for is why I want to do it. I just built out a new studio and I added some new technology and I wanted to try it out. And I didn't want to try it out doing it. Everyone's like, do another Baby Got Back. Oh, boy, it blew my mind with that one. I wanted to do something weird. So I did something weird, and initially people was a little turbulence, but now the boat smoothed out and we're riding nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's always behind everything, there's licensing. There's always this situation of making sure that you get the access to everything. The business of this, especially the way you make your music, is very interactive. Like you have to get, a lot of people's rights and opinions. And that's not how it was done way back in the day because no one knew. Right. And so you've been there through it. When you talk about this, I imagine you give talks to schools and kids and all that sort of stuff, up and comers and musicians. Talk just a minute about like what they've got to like be clocking right now beyond just playing the music.
Yeah, it's I don't want to. One thing I'm not the old fart. You ain't gonna see me there. Oh, back in the day, it was so much better. No, it was not. Back in the day, there was some rich F sitting in an office somewhere that basically signs you to a label and defined you, told the world who you were, even if that's not who you are. That's what they wanted to see you as, so that's what you are. And they put you out, and sometimes you benefited, but most of the times you did not. They could shelf you to stop you from signing with another label. They just put you on a shelf, literally, and never sell records for you and never give you another advance, and you'd end up working at McDonald's somewhere. And they'd sue you if you sang there. That's how bad it was. But now, the hell with a record label. You don't need them. For what? What are they? I mean, many times they don't even promote they don't even promote the records. The artists do. So let me get this straight. If I'm the artist and I put out a record and I make that record blow up and I spend my money and my time and my social media leverage to make that happen, what's the label for again?
It's not unlike being a book author who has people who do publicity and all that sort of stuff for their books and who have the same thing of like, I always call their publicity people, the court-appointed publicity people. Yeah, you get that
That's
feeling.
why you
like
have to get an agency to promote your book, Chris, like
Public
FSB
defender.
Associates sponsor who specializes in that.
Right. So you can't use those court-appointed ones. That's what I'm saying.
It blew my mind. I was watching, somebody had sent me a post that Drake had put up. And he jokingly said, I'm going to break TikTok. And he did.
Oh, wow.
When you have that kind of power, what is the label's job? I mean, don't get me wrong, labels can do things, but what I find is they take the back seat and just let the artist do the work. So why did you sign that deal?
At what point does that shift, though, the balance of power? So at a certain point, you do become a bankable commodity without the label. So when does that happen exactly? When did it happen for you?
Well, I was unlike these youngsters who haven't even known labels, thank goodness, because they're addicting. Labels are addicting. I mean, I was on an independent label first with Nasty Mix, and we sold like a couple million records actually on an independent in Seattle. Think about that for a minute. And then I get a call from the great Rick Rubin, right, who was near and dear to me, although we're not super close. What I mean is that his influence on me it left something that will never leave me, and I'm glad that I met him. And he brought me in and took it to the next level. Critiqued my production. Dude, this is not right. You need to quit saying this. Need more scratching. Need less of this. And the more it got on my nerves initially because I had a big ego. I said, I sold 2 million without you, dude. And he said, well, you'll sell 10 with me. And he was right. And, but I got addicted to it. Big advance. You're irresponsible because you work 2 years, you get a giant check. Then you work another year and you get another giant check. And I was a kid and I blew it all and started buying crazy stuff. Long story short, what made me realize that I was ready to go to the new, and this is actually happened. I'm not going to say names, but there were some powerful people, higher ups at the label that had Rick at that time, which was Warner Brothers, and they wanted some things pulled down off of this new thing called iTunes. And I happened to be overhearing part of the call because it was on a speakerphone, and the person at iTunes, I guess, talked to them like they were just nobody. Okay, what do you need, mister? And I don't want to say his name because he was big, like come and kill me or something. But what do you need? I need this taken down, you know, Madonna, Alanis Morissette, Mixalot, blah, 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 blah. And I don't remember what the kid went and did. And it was the kid. I don't remember what this kid went and did, but he left, put him on hold, came back. Okay, Mr. Blank, that's done. Anything else? And I looked at my manager and said, this shit is over. Right then, I said, this is over. The balance of power. Basically, it was the Napster business model stolen by iTunes.
Right.
And done well, I might add. And it gave artists freedom. And after that, streaming, which was a clusterfuck at first. I mean, the streaming was like nobody was making money, or somebody was making a lot of money. Nobody knew what you're supposed to get paid per stream. And that's all changed. And now these kids are making bread, and I'm proud of them. And some of you old cats still stuck on the majors waiting on that next release. Ain't gonna happen, Captain. Get your knees in the breeze. Go get that money.
One of the things we like to do on the Backpack Show is bring in the community with their questions. So Nazim is asking advice for young kids starting out who can't tour or play live at the moment. Like, should they do virtual gigs? What should they do?
Virtual gigs. I just heard somewhere Facebook said they want to cut back on that.
Well, sure they do, because for them it's an inconvenience.
Like, yes, bring more my way. But no, I think because everybody makes music at home in the bedroom now. I mean, me, I'm in my studio now, but it's still in my house. I don't drive anywhere to a studio. So if you can take if you're looking at me right now, you already have a computer. You can download free software right now and just start working on your craft and study other songs. Don't copy them, but study them, learn the elements. That's what I used to do. I used to sit back and I remember when Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five came out. That was the most musical. Sugar Hill back in the day was musical. They were like a band, so you couldn't really mimic them, but you study there's a guitar. That's not a real bass. That's a synth bass. That's this, that's that. And then you take those same elements and try to build. I would try to copy a song first just to understand the elements of it. But once you understand the elements, you can start building your own stuff and make music with your mouth first. You know, when I did Baby Got Back, all that, I was just driving down the street and actually I heard, you're going to crack up, the original Batman song. It was literally on the radio, and it was like doon 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 doon, and I start going doon 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 doon. That's really where it came from. And I had back then you couldn't talk on your phone, so I used a little one of those little Sony Walkman deals and said that riff, and I went home and played that riff, and that's where Baby Got Back came from.
I was just telling my son today how significant the song was, because as a girl who was never like, you know, waif thin when that was in, at my thinnest, I've always had curves. And that was not the look like in the 90s. That was not what people wanted. So when the song came out and everybody started to think a little bit differently about beauty, that was a huge moment for me and my friends who like cookies.
Well, you know, the song was written, and I tell people this, and I wasn't angry, but the song was initially it was serious, and Rick didn't like it. Rick is like, come on, man, really? I mean, you're talking about butts. You gotta be tongue in cheek a little bit. So, because the song really is not about butts, but it's kind of about butts. In that era, just to give you some kind of context, the only African American women you saw, or women of color, period, that you saw on television in a favorable light, I won't say they assimilated to another culture, but they looked palatable to the mainstream. But I don't mean mainstream people, I mean the business. You know, Vanessa Williams, Diane Carroll, people like that, right? But Parliament did Motor Booty Affair in the 70s, okay? Brother's been liking the Coke bottle for a long time. And I was a little frustrated that the only time you saw a Hispanic woman or a Black woman or whatever on television, she was a streetwise hooker on Law and Order. You know what I mean? You get sick of that, right? But I didn't want to make it a political thing either. So I did Baby Got Back, and I took a shot at Cosmo and took a shot at some of the big cats, and the song blows up, and then I'm sitting at a meeting in Beverly Hills, and it got banned. And I had a cell phone, and I thought it was a hot shot then. I had the first cell phone, $2 a minute kind of shit.
Mhm.
And I get a phone call, and I get told my song is banned from MTV. So I think my career's over. And Rick had a publicist. Her name was Heidi Robinson. And she was his publicist. And she called me on my cell phone, my big shot cell phone. And she said something to me, hung up, and I never will forget it because I didn't get it until she got off the phone with me. She said, I said, my career's over. We're off of MTV. We're done. And she said, Mix, you are now Elvis Presley, and you shook your leg one too many times on the Ed Sullivan Show. And I had to think about that. I was like, oh shit, I'm the forbidden fruit now. Yes. So that's how it all happened. I love to say I planned it all, but no, it's a lot of happenstance.
It's I want to put like big yellow highlighter on how that just got what you just said. So first off, I mean, who doesn't come with just that sort of notion in their head that they're only really thinking about that one song because they don't know My Posse's on Broadway, they don't know Iron Man, they don't know all the other songs. So, but everybody knows, Baby Got Back. But what they didn't understand was that this is how you play your cards. You never, you're never like, fist in the air in the land of hypocrisy. You're like, hey, what do you think? Isn't this funny? And you're making a point while you're being funny.
And it's funny. I get some people like jump on my Facebook, and I don't really respond to too many trolls, but every now and then I'll troll a troll, right? And I had a guy's like, dude, one hit wonder, you're probably broke, blah 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 blah.
Oh my gosh.
And so I said, well, before Baby Got Back, I had a platinum album in Swass. I had a platinum single with Posse on Broadway, double platinum. And Seminar was going platinum right when I left. It's now platinum, but I stopped counting on Baby Got Back in '93. And so my thing with money and rappers, and you hear about a lot of them going broke, it's only because they were on labels and they didn't have any fiscal sense. I happened to go bankrupt in the '90s. And I have a buddy of mine that owns a business, and he schooled the hell out of me. He said, dude, you know how this happened? And he just wrote it all down for me. And next time you get that bread, do that. And I stack now. Stack.
So Raphael brought up something that I wanted to bring up, because when you hear Yeah Yeah Ding Dong and you don't know a little bit about Sir Mix-a-Lot, you think that's a little out of left field. Raphael points out Square Dance Rap, still one of the best. Paul Miller asked the question, what about your collaborations with guys like Mudhoney and Metal Church? Metal Church, man, watch the children pray and all that kind of crazy. You cannot see Sir Mix-a-Lot doing work with them. There you are.
I love rock, first of all. I really loved it mostly in the late 90s, early 2000s. I loved the big, crunchy 7-string thunder. I mean, then it went off. Everybody got fun boy rock, and that's not my thing. I like angry motherfuckers. I love that kind of stuff because it's rhythmic. Anything that's rhythmic, I dig it. But yeah, I worked with Metal Church, did Iron Man with those guys because I felt weird doing Iron Man in the first place because I still think
sure.
But to have a real band in there, I could blame it on them if they say it sucked, right? And but I did the funnest project I ever did. We never released, and that was the Presidents of the United States.
Oh, I'm so sad about you not releasing that.
We did a whole album. We toured on the album and never released it. And I always say it was too many millionaires in the same room. That's why it didn't come out. Nobody cared. And they still say I can release it. I can release it. Like, how am I going to release it without your support, dude? You guys are bosses.
Jumping back just a little bit, Chloe in the audience, she's from Scotland. She wants to know if you think new artists coming up can benefit from the support of a label, or if they should just learn the skill set and go all in themselves from the very first day.
The things you'll get from signing with a label, you'll learn those in 3 days and you'll regret it for 3 years. You don't need a label. I was watching Cardi B like celebrating her and Meg Thee Stallion's track going something in 2 minutes, gold or whatever. If you watch that celebration, as crazy as it was, listen to what she was saying. We got blank amount of streams in this much time. She sounded like a CEO. Really. Artists are so in tune with the value of a stream and how many streams constitutes a sale, how much money they net from X amount of streams. You know it because you live it. And labels ain't going to tell you that. So they're not going to teach you anything about the business. They're just going to do your business. That's really what labels are there for. And I don't think you need them. They're a wallet. But if you know how to market yourself via social media, you can circumvent a lot of that stuff.
And who doesn't now, right?
Yeah.
Comments everywhere, by the way, because we're getting ready to bring in Genevieve. But man, I'm just looking at the comments going by. Brandy's here from your neck of the woods. Beepers is classic. I saw another one she said earlier that I was going to say. Oh, I'm your new god. Taught me to stay away from drugs. I thought that's a pretty,
Yeah, that song was like a buddy of mine, Strange. That's his name. He did that beat, and that beat was just sounded depressing but good. Like, I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna do something dark. And a lot of people caught what I meant, but a lot of people didn't. They knew I meant, drugs were bad. But when I'm talking about the drug finding victims who weren't necessarily users, they were finding lieutenants to work. The young punk was spunky. His pants were sagging and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he was just an employee and also a victim. And that was some of my friends that were slanging back then got a little pissed off. Hey, bro, what's up? I was like, sorry, dude. Don't shoot me, but it's real.
Mike wants to know if the internet is just a fad. I have to say, I think it's here to stay, Mike.
Yeah. No, Mike, I think you're good. You're good. Thanks for seeing me on the internet, by the way.
You're on the internet right now.
Yeah, that's our good friend Mike McCallan, who's always good for a good laugh. Mayaka, who's a former guest,
go get your parents.
Listen, we have about a minute left, but one other thing I was going to say is you said this in the video for Yeah Yeah Ding Dong, and you said it once in this as well. Things like TikTok are also a performer's friend right now. So you're staying up on this, which, it sounds insulting when I say it that way. You're keeping up on this, but you have to stay at the front of the wave all the time or you fall below the wave. Is that
I'm constantly leaning forward, man? I can't stand when I hear artists my age, and some of them even like 40. Oh, these kids, they just mumble rapping. Well, it's what's happening right now. And I lean forward. I'm not looking back. Back in my day, when you start doing that, you're done. And I respect these kids. I get out of their way. I don't try to mimic them. I will produce them though, because I'm producing a couple right now. Because I can trap. I mean, trap was a natural progression for me. I saw it coming back when it was called dubstep and chop and screw, right? Dubstep, chop and screw, had a baby. It was trap. Go back and listen. You'll see.
And I know we both appreciate some of what Skrillex made happen in the dubstep days, even though we're not supposed to say his name anymore because he must not be cool anymore because that was 5 years ago.
Let me tell you something. Skrillex, I knew when he was blowing up with dubstep, he was going to start mixing hip hop. Hello, Rick Ross. Hello, Kendrick Lamar. Humble remix. That's Skrillex. Humble remix. Sick. Give Skrillex his props. That motherfucker can produce.
I hope no Kendrick's fans are here, but I'll say I like it better than the original. Okay, I didn't say that. All right, I'm going to bring Genevieve on because, we have power in the house today. We have so much power. This is crazy time. Genevieve Angelique, also known Genevieve Bien-Aime.
Maybe
OtherBoston.com. You've got all the things. Hey, how the heck are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. How's everyone else doing?
So good. So we are from Boston, Chris and I, and so it meant a lot to us to see the work that you're doing there, to having lived there, to publicize events for the Black community. Can you talk to me about when you started doing that and what brought Other Boston into existence?
Sure. I started the Other Boston almost 4 years ago. It was under a different name. I called it Boston Come Through. And I essentially just launched it as part of like a personal blog I was doing. And for me, it came from the fact that, this place is it can be a very siloed place. And although it's relatively small, there's a lot of disconnect. I think that not just the Black community feels, but I feel like a lot of people could say the same thing. And so I was kind of just tired of people saying there was nothing to do here or nowhere to go. And when I knew that wasn't true, particularly with there being so many like creatives here and entrepreneurs and while, the social scene here, I think for Black people can if you're comparing it to like a DC or an Atlanta, it doesn't compare in the same way. But at the same time, there were a lot of things happening and a lot of awesome people doing amazing things here. And I just wanted to create a platform to highlight those experiences and those people.
Robert Trumbull says, hi, Genevieve. And Heather on LinkedIn says, I have a big butt and I do not lie about it.
Genevieve, you point to something about Boston being kind of a different city than some of those other cities. Number one, and kind of a poopy thing, is it's absolutely not walkable city, right? Like you can't get from one place to another place without kind of moving around. And like what's cool in JP versus Dorchester versus all these other places, none of it's just connected. Is that part of what you're doing? You're trying to thread that so we know at least which train to get on, which bus to get on, and how to get to where these, Black right. Boston exists?
Essentially, it is a way to know what's happening. Like, even though, it's not a walkable city, it's also not, the biggest city either. And it's kind of just interesting that you could really be a couple miles from something and not know that it's happening. And a lot of times I think things it's after the fact people find out about it, as opposed to like when it's happening or leading up to it. And so the platform is really essentially to connect all of those things, like you mentioned, particularly through events, but in other ways as well.
Micah loves your glasses. Former guest Micah. She says, it sounds like cool work. Tell me about the t-shirt line. So you have a Boston Pride t-shirt line.
Yes. So, like I mentioned, I've been doing this off and on for almost 4 years. And at the top of the year, I was moving into hosting, curating these really intimate type of events that will allow people to, genuinely network. And then, COVID happened, which kind of put everything at a halt. No one's having events. We're essentially in a pandemic and there's really nowhere to go. So there was no events list. And I was just kind of, I don't think anybody knew what to do, and I definitely didn't know what to do. But I had this idea for a t-shirt line that kind of spoke to like the experiences of Black Bostonians and things that I think my audience would connect with. And, there was no better time than the present. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. So I launched it in April, and it's actually, you launch something and you want it to do well, but it's done so much better than I expected it to do. And particularly what you're looking at is like, these are some of like the neighborhoods. Like you have, this is like a second shirt, but if you scroll back up to
So your first one's kind of the classic, right?
Right. So this design, the Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, Hyde Park, that's typically where you would find the majority of Black people, but there are even maps, when you have tourists come, there are maps where these neighborhoods are not even, on it. Or, you're told not to go to a Roxbury or a Dorchester because, these are like the bad places, and it's so much more than that. And so this was my way of bringing visibility to the community and to just highlight it's such a diverse place. And while, my target audience is Black people, like I have all types of folks who live in all these different neighborhoods who have purchased shirts. And it's been like a great way to kind of just promote those neighborhoods and just kind of bring pride. And, and I think especially as like a Black person, when you're from Boston, or you tell people you're from Boston, and whether people have been to Boston or not, it comes with all of these assumptions and stereotypes of what about of this place. The main one being like it's this like ultra racist place. And the other thing, I went to school in DC, so a lot of questions I would get is, there are Black people up there, and it's just crazy, especially when you learn that almost 1 in 4 Bostonians is, identifies as Black or African American, and it's kind of crazy. But if you were to walk around, like, the places they tell you to go, like the Faneuil Halls and, downtown or like down in the Seaport, you wouldn't know that.
Right. Right. Well, it's funny when I saw the shirt, the first thought I had about it was, how the term dog whistle is always used. Someone saying something racist, but they're not really saying the racist thing. This is like reverse dog whistle in a cool way, right? Because this is saying, people who know what those communities are. People who know that's where kind of the juice of the berry is right there, right? So that's an interesting way to go about it. What made you think that? What made you say that's what's going to go on these shirts?
I think because people from Boston are really proud to be here, like be from Boston, whatever you identify as. But especially I think it's like this nuance when you're Black and you're from here. It's like the Black people who are from Boston you won't find anybody who's prouder, who reps the sports teams harder, who love being from here. We have awesome, an amazing music scene. We have an amazing artist scene. We have an amazing everything scene. And it's kind of like this secret that nobody knows about, or it's like this club that nobody knows is popping, And so I knew that, a lot of it is for me, sitting on social media, checking Twitter, I'll look up hashtags like Black Boston. And I just want to see what people are talking about. And I found a tweet and I screenshotted it and posted it on my IG. And the young lady posted Black Bostonians are tired of people asking if, there are Black people in Boston. And it was like, is the sky blue? And it's like the obvious answer is yes, and when I posted that, it had over 200 shares and all these likes. So when I post these different things and I'm seeing the engagement and, the feedback from the events list and just talking to people, I've literally had this conversation. I feel like I've had it 3 or 4 times in the past week with different people. So I know that there's something there and I'm not the only one who feels this way. So it was just an idea. I just wanted to see if it worked, and it's working. So.
Well, Genevieve, you and this guy named Anthony Ray have something in common insofar as, that gentleman was, raised in a part of Seattle that no one wanted to talk about either, right? It was sort of another part of Seattle. So it was a little while before people kind of got that. So I was going to ask Mixalot, what you're hearing when you're listening to this about this project.
Oh, I love it. It's funny. Seattle had kind of some similar issues. What wasn't really a thing about all of Seattle's racist. It was like, there's Black folks in Seattle, right? And I grew up on Yesler Way, and it was the central area. It's of course gentrification has affected that big time. But I remember playing hoop up at the Rotary Boys and Girls Club, and we had this little project. My mom was a nurse at the King County Jail, but she would donate time on weekends at the Black Panther Clinic, right? So I would go in there and meet with some of the Panthers, and they would do this thing called Unlearn, which was very interesting. They'd ask you what you learned in school, and they would tell you how much of it was kind of whitewashed. Don't get me started on that. We'll be talking for the next 30 or 40 minutes.
But, we'll be decolonizing bookshelves everywhere. That's a good thing, though.
But Genevieve, I love what you're doing. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm trying to do something similar here in Seattle with small venues to just wake people up to the ecosystem around them. It's not just some Coke dealer in the back of a dark club. No, these are bartenders, the hot dog guy, the janitors, the sound guys, and they're going broke right now. So I'm trying to raise money for them. Same kind of thing,
That's awesome.
Katrina says you're out here connecting bridges. Your work doesn't go unnoticed. And Mayaka is just directing people back up to that one.
Just go with that comment.
Just read that one again.
I got so excited and so wrapped up in this, I almost forgot I had to do sponsor stuff. So hang tight one quick second, because I got to do some sponsor stuff, Hey, so you can make a show like this, your own. cbrogan.me/StreamYard. Buy your own damn show. This is what this thing is running on. It's called StreamYard. It lets anybody look like an incredible show producer, just like we were hearing from Sir Mixalot. You got the tools right in your hand. Our other sponsor is if you're an author and you don't want to go through the mess of putting together your own website, what could they do, Kelly? Carrie?
You just call me Kelly.
I didn't mean to.
Kelly.
Shut up. I'm not talking to you.
That's okay. I've only known you 10 years. It's
fine. What can you do, Louise?
If you want to promote your book, you want to promote yourself as an author, but you don't know anything about web design, pub-site.com. It's really easy using PubSite to build your own author website. If you don't want to do it, they have people that will do it for you. So there's a 2-week free trial, but even after that, it's $19.99 a month. So honestly, It's super easy. And it's powered by FSB Associates, which is the premier book and author promotion PR firm anywhere. They've been in business 25 years. They know what authors need to do to have a successful career. And so they'll build the website accordingly. So pub-site.com.
Her name is Carrie O'Shea Gorgon. Not Kelly.
You know, you're burnt. Just forget it.
You know what? I full on panicked. I was like, we forgot the sponsors. And that was what was in my head. So you got to do that. You got to give love to the sponsors.
I agree. And yet that causes you to forget my name.
I blew it. It's over. Game over. So
I will never let you live it down, but that's fine.
All right.
Carol uses StreamYard as well. She says it rocks. Dave says, Mix, bust over to Eastern Washington. You are much loved.
Eastern Washington, the Wawa, Yakima. I own some property in Moses Lake. I've never even seen it. It's like dirt.
Swing by.
Yeah. I mean, not now. Like, don't go anywhere right now. Wait till there's a vaccine.
Well, I thought it would
preserve
when I bought it, and it has not appreciated at all. So I'm gonna go out and it looks like Mars. It's just dirt. So, oh well, bad investment.
Moses Lake might have to go back into the somebody else's possession.
Yeah,
at some point. I see where you're going with that. So I also wanted to say that there's another connection of this as well. So Mix is a performer, amongst being a business owner, going to a lot of meetings, all that. Genevieve, you're trying to thread together the social scenario in the city, and it's not exactly super easy right now. There's, when you go and look at some of the stuff that's available on other Boston, there's days where nothing is right now because guess what? We're all quarantined. We're all home. So has that changed the business a little bit? And what are you doing to kind of make that look different in that way?
So to be honest, I really didn't know what to do back in March and April. And honestly, I took a break and put it to the side, which is actually really nice because I don't take a lot of breaks. But I actually just started circulating it about 2 weeks ago because I noticed that, I don't know if people just decided the pandemic was over or they were just over it. And
right.
So there actually have been a lot of events happening as of late. I don't really know what's going to happen once we get winter here. So everything's going to shut down and you won't be able to sit outside and eat at a restaurant.
That's Boston for you.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I'm always like, if you know me, I pivot all the time. Like I have a new idea for every day. And so, I'm kind of just riding the wave. And if it has to go on hiatus again, it'll go on hiatus. But as far as events, I do think, the upside to it is because there's been so many more virtual events. And essentially with being virtual, and moving in that direction, you kind of can open up, who your audience is. I've seen so many people artists live streaming their shows. I've seen, there's a brand that I follow. They call Trap Karaoke, and it's basically karaoke, but to trap music. And it's like the best experience ever. It's like my favorite, like wherever they are, I have to be there. And I saw that they're actually offering, they figured out a way to do it, from your home. And so I purchased my tickets. So I definitely will be there, and I'm interested to see how that works. And it's
I wonder if we know a famous rapper who might ever swing by something like a
you never know.
Karaoke.
That sounds fun right there. Trap karaoke.
It's actually a really dope time because a lot of times, depending on the city, they have been known to bring out like a celebrity artist and you don't know who it is, and it's usually somebody up there performing the song and then the artist just comes out. So you really never know. But it's a great time.
How do they feel about Icelandic folk music?
I don't hear a Boston accent anywhere. What the hell? I love the Boston accent. Nobody else.
None of us.
It's a little over. Yeah, I think people watch too many movies, and it's
Angelique, I don't know how old you are, but it's like a real thing, or was when I was in school. But my dad went to Harvard. My mom was from Somerville, so she talked like she was right out of the movie The Town. Like that's how she talked. But somehow with the mix, I never got the Boston accent. And I was growing up on Cape Cod, and so it's a little bit of a different accent too. But then you go to college and it's who is like local and who came from somewhere else, and you pretty quickly drop any vestiges of a Boston accent because you don't want to be immediately identified as like a townie.
I love the Boston accent. I guess because I'm outside looking in. I love that accent.
Oh, we
It's
tried.
wicked awesome.
Yeah, I don't think it's that attractive, to be honest.
It's wicked hard to adjust.
Genevieve and I agree
There we
it is
go,
not
yeah.
attractive.
I like had.
But it was rated number 2 in the country of sexiest accents in America, and I think that is crazy and wrong.
Yeah, they can't.
You guys are too close to it, man. That's what it is.
Yeah,
We don't appreciate it.
you
Yeah,
never love home until you leave it, right? That's what they say.
I mean, I
That's
get
what they say.
everybody wants to go to a damn coffee shop. Take me to another one and another. I'm like, oh, come on, man. It's just coffee. Damn. But
that happened to me in Portland, Oregon, up the street from you a little bit. Portland, Oregon, man, they love their coffee. They have wars over that the way Boston people fight over sports.
Everything. Boston people fight over everything.
We do.
So there's a lot of love coming in. Keep up. Persist.
Hey, it's Michelle, another past guest.
So,
Yes.
hi, Michelle.
Good.
How about the Seattle accent, says Coach Woodard?
Seattle accent? Yeah, you hear it. Yeah, we don't have accent up here. We got none of that.
Dave confirms every dude.
Food. That's what we do.
Every dude from Mass I met in grad school sounded like they came out of Goodwill Hunting, right?
Yeah.
For real. So the secret is to put R's on words that don't have them, like idea,
yeah.
and to drop R's from words that do have them, like ka. You know? So you might hear, like in a garden shop, you might hear, how much for the garden gnome? That's what it sounds like.
I love that. I love that.
Whatever happens, don't order tutor on a Peter. So,
I only know
Hollywood's fetish. That's right.
That's why you drop the accent mix, because nobody understands what you're talking about.
They don't want to know
That's
about it.
why
All right,
you drop it.
we got to get this show out of here, man. This is I'm off the rails.
You need a person of the day. Excuse me, before you do that. Person of the day.
No, I know I got to do person.
Sponsored by-
Look at who has shown up himself. Angel Jimbazov just showed up. It's his fault that I even vaguely know Sir Mixalot now.
Angel, what's up, man?
He says it's not just coffee. He's got a gang sign now.
Yeah, that's a new gang sign.
You know, those deadly Bulgarian gangs. Oh my golly. So Drew says, Mick's not sure if you remember, but we worked together on your documentary. Shh, don't tell him that. I was the editor.
I do remember that. That was like a video, and I thought it wasn't going to sell. It actually did pretty good. I was shocked. I'm like, people bought that shit? And they did. They liked it. I was like,
People want to know.
Nobody really wants to hear about the personal side of an artist ever. So, but they wanted to hear it that time. So cool.
You guys are big in Scotland now. You're Scottish
Big in
celebrities.
Scotland.
I'm big in Scotland. All right.
And Paco did time at Fort Devens out in Boston Air. Must mean he's an Air Force kind of guy. All right. So we do I have nobody in my mind right now. So we do a person of the day. And the idea of person of the day is sponsored by PubSite. So pub-site.com. You can totally go and do that. Oh, I know who to do. I totally know who to do. One day later, birthday boy Dan Gorgone, who made the new logo of the show. It's our thing. It's not really a competition. So it's not like family members can't be in it. So it's definitely time for Dan.
You know what else? He knows my name, kid.
Yeah. Shut up, rabbit. Now listen, that's our person of the day. That means you get a free apple just like that one if you go and buy it somewhere. It's not really free.
On his birthday, you can't buy him an apple for being person of the day.
Maybe buy him an apple. You use one of those services probably. But that's it. So and then we have one last question. And the question is same for everybody on the show. Every day that I remember to ask it, which is what goes in your backpack. Now, this is a metaphorical backpack. It could be whatever someone would need to kind of succeed in the next 5 years. So it could be something like hope, or it could be empathy, or it could be a good sense of humor. It could be rhymes, because 2 people are at least poets that I'm looking at right now. Or it could be something really physical. We had a clown who put in an avocado, but you can't ask for a second backpack. We've disallowed that.
That's cheating.
So I'm going to start with Genevieve. I'm going to say, what is something that needs to go in this backpack for the next 5 years to make the world a better place, or your life?
When you asked the question, the first word that came to mind was integrity.
I like it.
So it's something I just hold myself to the highest standard, in terms of, keeping your word and, let your yes be your yes and your no be your no, and being, honest and transparent, especially when doing business with others, and just moving that forward. And that's helped me build like really awesome relationships. And so I would just say integrity.
I like it. I'll take it. What do you say, Sir Mixalot?
Well, I'd bring along some of the things I picked up along the way, throw all that in that backpack, and I'd leave it wide open. I'd share all the information I could, because that's what I do now.
Sharing. Oh, I like it. You know,
Sharing your backpack contents. No one's done that before.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
How can we keep getting new ideas to answer this thing? Well, what a show. I mean, we laughed, we cried. It was better than Cats. I misnamed my co-host of several gazillion episodes. Things happen. I'm going to start doing drugs so I have an excuse. That's what I'm realizing.
You know, it's never too late.
It's never too late to pick up drugs. You know, by the way, people love your name, Genevieve, because there's a few Canadians here. My grandmother being a French Canadian, so we, appreciate the Francais mixed in a wee bit, or Creole, perhaps. As the mix of the colonizer's language. So
Dan's waiting for his bank for the money for his Apple.
I'm gonna just keep watching that PayPal.
It's my break.
Yeah, keep watching. Look, get that stack, Dan. All right, listen. My grandmother was really kind of big on a few different of your songs, but I think Hoopty was the favorite because of the only had one rim still on it. Had missing the 3 because they got stolen. So she said this about that song.